mess, a mess. He's crying in pain. He's kind of, and I'm sorry if you guys aren't like, if you guys are weak of heart, I don't really want to explain too much of this, but let's just say he started bleeding again, and it all came up, and he filled like 2 liters of bloody fluid. All right, let's just leave it at that. Then I find out that before we got there, the occupational therapist came in like 7:30 to start helping him get dressed. And she proceeded to get him mobile, or get him at least standing. And he started shaking. He started becoming unresponsive. And then he collapsed. He lost everything. You guys can figure out what that means. And he passed out. So they thought he had a seizure. They weren't sure if he had a seizure or didn't have a seizure. Now I have a son with epilepsy, so if I was there, I might have been able to know, you know, if he had a seizure, didn't have a seizure. Don't know. But he was, they call it post-ictal, when after you have a seizure. If anybody knows anybody with epilepsy, or have ever had an epileptic or a seizure, you kind of know what that means. And he was sleeping, and he was sleeping a lot. But in the middle of all this other stuff started going on. And long story short, now they had to come in and find, they didn't even have a hep lock in him because he went to a rehab. Oh my God. Vintage memories. I'm explaining everything. I really wanted you here for support because I know you know all of this stuff. So anyway, he had no hep lock in because now we're in a rehab. Now they got to get his hemoglobin. Oh, his hemoglobin had dropped. Hi, KK, honey. Hi, sweetheart. And now it's going in the other direction. Now he has all this blood loss. And I just turned to the nurse in the rehab and I said, he's got to go back to the hospital. This is not where he needs to be. She couldn't find a vein. Now, in her defense, his veins were never an issue until all this started. And now they're starting to give us a problem. They never were before. They're rolling, they're doing all this crazy stuff that they never did before. Dad and I have been great. We're great to take blood from. It's always my mom and Rob who've always been an issue. But anyway, I said, he's got to go back to the hospital. He can't be in an aggressive rehab. He can't even stand up. I mean, this is like crazy. So within the hour, stat over to the next hospital because we didn't even go back to the original hospital. So now they take him back to the hospital that's across the street from the rehab, and he's back down at 5.1 on his hemoglobin. And he's internally bleeding again, and now we've got to go again for another endoscopy and this and that and everything else. And it's just been a week of horrors. So that was Saturday. That was Saturday, right? Saturday. Yeah. So we got another unit of blood in the emergency room because they couldn't admit him because they had no beds. So we spent almost the whole night in the emergency room from noon till about midnight. They did give him a blood. Will you stop crying?
I'm okay. I'm fine.
Crying.
I'm fine.
She has met my father in person, so I get it. So Sunday comes. Sunday they did I fought to get a CAT scan of his brain at the time. And because you know what, the nurse in the rehab asked me, did they ever scan his head when he fell? And I said, no, to be honest with you, because we didn't think he hit his head. To be honest with you, we watched him go down. The first time, at least not in the garage. Now, as far as the other falls, I don't think so, but the one time he fell on Rob, so we know he hit Rob. He didn't hit his head. So no, they never did do a scan of his head. So I insisted on that, and
Cindy.
they also wanted to rescan the pelvis and make sure there was no other internal, like any other things going on. And then they were going to do the endoscopy upon admission in the morning on Sunday, which they did do. So they finally got him into a room. They got him down. We went with him to get the endoscopy, and he had a gusher. So they cauterized the bleed and put him on Protonics, which is a very heavy stomach thing that they give them for, ulcers and stuff like that. Because even from the first one at the first hospital, we knew he had ulcers, and that's what this gastric ulcer and everything. So we knew he had to be on Protonics, and they started IV Protonics, and then he got another unit of blood. No, he didn't get any more blood because then it went above 7. It was like 7.5 Monday. What's today? I'm so confused with days. I can't even believe it's Friday already. Today's Friday, right? Thursday? Today's Thursday. This is how confused I am with days. So today's Thursday. So yeah, so Tuesday, his hemoglobin came back at 7, an even 7. And he was complaining about pain again, a little bit of nausea. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I hope he's not bleeding again. But we got through Tuesday. Things were okay. He actually ate on Tuesday, a pretty decent amount on Tuesday. And yesterday we knew we had to go to Little River because my car had an exhaust manifold and a catalytic converter changed on it. My car has like 3 catalytic converters. So the one that they changed went bad, and the guy here would have done it, but I'm not repaying for $1,700 of a repair that I paid in December. It was covered under warranty. So I had to go back yesterday to Little River to get it done. Well, that was a whole other fiasco. We drove 3 hours to get it done. And when we got there, it's misfiring on cylinder 4 and 6, and they wouldn't replace it, or we would null and void the warranty. So we had to bring it back to fix the misfire in order for them to change it. So I have to go back at some point to Little River again. I don't know when that's going to be. I don't even know when that's going to be. So anyway, my aunt was kind enough. She actually came to the hospital yesterday. She's got her own challenges, and she's not a young woman, but she's a pretty healthy woman, but she's had some back and some leg issues herself. And she has a husband. My uncle has Parkinson's. He's a Vietnam vet, and he was exposed to Agent Orange, and he has Parkinson's from it. And he's, getting worse and worse and worse. He's a year younger than my father. So he's 84. So he's not much younger. But he's much more incapacitated, at least was much more incapacitated. So she did go yesterday. She actually happened to be there when the physical therapist came in for the first time since my dad was back in the hospital on Saturday. And this is the first time he actually got up out of bed. So they got him up out of bed. They got him to walk to the door again. And the only thing she could say is that he was hallucinating. He was doing a lot of like this saying hi and like not knowing where he was. But the one thing that they say, and he was in 3 different places in 48-hour time span. So they're saying, well, it could be a confusion thing, and it can happen to anybody. Thanks, KK. So, long story short, I got a phone call this morning at 5:45, woke me up, and it was the nurse.
Here it comes.
and he had a tremendous fall. He proceeded at 4:30 this morning to try to get up. Now, whether or not he was still in this hallucinatory state, whether or not he was in pain and nobody was responding, but he...
This is the worst of all of them, too.
He had, what do they call it? The bed alarm set so that, if the patient gets up, the alarm goes off. Stay in bed. Please do not exit. But all this time that we've gone and every day we've gone, his rails, all 4 of them have been up. But my aunt said yesterday, and my aunt's an RN, she's retired RN, but it's not uncommon now that he's a little bit mobile and he was up on his, on his walker, that they wouldn't have all 4 rails up. I just think that at midnight or the night nurse or whatever, with a fall risk, you would have all 4 bed rails up. So the 2 lower rails were not up, and he hit the floor. He hit the floor hard.
It was bad. It was bad, y'all. This one was the worst of all.
Swollen eye, 4 stitches, head trauma, in a collar. They did do a CT of the cervical, bruises all down. Now, when the cervical came back negative, so they took the collar off. Such a low hemoglobin, now major lack of so many organs, impairs so many body functions. I know, vintage memories. I know. It's, hi, Kate. Hi, honey. Pat, if I didn't say hi to you, hi, sweetheart. So now we're battling all of this. He's not coherent. He's just gibberish, mumbling. He wasn't even speaking this morning to Rob and I. Like, we were like, Dad, I'm here. Can't open his eyes. Well, the one eye is completely shut. The other eye, I tried to wipe it with a warm compress because he might have had a little, gooky, closed eye, whatever. My thoughts to check on the orders of the bed rails. Well, I'm more concerned because I think he got up out of bed, and I don't know how long he was laying on the floor, because that siren goes off when you get up. Even he hadn't gotten up out of bed while we were there, and that siren had gone up just by certain movements.
Oh.
So that concerns me a little bit. It concerns me because there's been several alarms that have gone off, like his IV that keeps, occluding, which he hasn't even now had an IV in 2 days. Hasn't even had an IV in 2 days because he was eating and drinking on his own. The problem is now, because of the way that he has been from this fall, he's not aware, or if he's aware, he wasn't speaking, he wasn't even saying anything. Yesterday, in the few days that we've been there, at least when he was crying in pain, he was, I'm hurting. Like he was giving us all these verbal whatever. So after this fall, no verbal anything. But it could be all the medication. Okay. So I asked them, I begged them 2 days ago, please don't give him Oxy. They gave my aunt Oxy. She got addicted. My cousin, who was an RN, lost her 2 beautiful children and a husband and her nursing license and died in jail because she got addicted to Oxy. Okay. I don't want anybody in my family taking Oxy. It's just a no-no. It's just, we have addictive personalities as it is, and I don't want my father on Oxy. I asked them not to give it to him, but at midnight, they gave him Oxy. So I don't know if that played a role here either. And supposedly still, they don't call it tramadol. It's called something else. It's another name, but that was what seemed to at least work for him and take the edge off, and he was okay with that. But now they've been adding other stuff, when he was nauseous. What was the name of the stuff they added to him?
Zofran.
The Zofran for the nausea, but they gave him something else in his IV. Do you remember the name of it for that wasn't Oxy or do you remember what it was called? They gave him Ativan this morning. And I think that was after the fall because they said he was just agitated. That was the other thing with this whole shaking that's going on. The shaking is really weird. That's why Saturday they thought he had a seizure because he's doing this kind of shaking. But I don't know if that's from the pain. Like,
that could be. I wouldn't have thought of that. That
could be from the pain. And then he's just not 100% just with it right now. So I don't know that shaking.
How did he get all the damage on his face? What did that?
He fell on the floor.
I know the floor. They wouldn't have scratched his face that bad, would it? Or is that blood just to the surface?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I showed June, guys. Request a care conference, discuss pain management. They should put him on pain patches to help. And he was, vintage memories. Fentanyl patches work wonders and you can go low dose. So what was the name of the patches? What was the drug? Lidocaine. He was putting underneath his leg down the hip that he hurt. I say hip. It's not even a hip. It's a pelvic. It's a pubic. Lidocaine, yeah. It's a pubic ramus inferior fracture was the original fracture that happened. And we were told, that was the other big fight I had this week at the hospital. That was a whole other story. So I was told by the hospital when he was admitted the first time. Well, he wasn't even admitted the first time. The first time back on July 10th when he had the fall, they didn't admit him. They didn't send him to rehab. They did nothing. They just sent him home with a walker and said that he just has to use pressure as tolerated. So I don't even know at that point, maybe that was a mistake. Maybe he should have went right to lidocaine patches are great for nerve pain. So I think that's what's happening, vintage memories, down his leg from his fall. He's feeling it like underneath his leg. So they're putting it like on the crease. He keeps saying it's the crease underneath his knee, like in that thigh area. So that's where they were putting the lidocaine patches. But it's just, it's very, the whole thing is just very disconcerting. So Saturday he gets there. They did the endoscopy Sunday, and then what was that? Monday night? Was that Sunday night? Rob and I are home, and I get a call from my father at 5 to 7, all upset that there was an orthopedic surgeon in his room and they're going to do surgery in the morning. I said, what? What do you mean they're going to do surgery in the morning? I told him I'm the boss and there's no surgery. That's what my father said to the guy.
I'm the boss.
One of the things we did talk about, and we were relieved with even the orthopedic surgeon that we followed up with after the emergency room, was this was not an operable thing. When you break your inferior, your pubic, it's not pelvic, it's pubic inferior ramus. It's not an operable break. It's something that's you just tolerate weight bearing as much as possible for 6 weeks till you feel like you can put full pressure on it. And then we was to follow up with the orthopedic surgeon. Now, I guess at that point, if there's any issues at that point, I guess at that point you would worry about any kind of therapy or some kind of manipulation, even just to straighten his pelvis out. Or because I have to think that if you have a fracture and you're not walking regularly and you're only working on a walker, you're favoring things. He's favoring things with the pain. His hand is still not 100%. I mean, it's just so much that the one thing he can say now, he always said everything happened on his left side. So he had the thumb issue on his left side. He had the avulsion. He had an avulsion when he worked for the Daily News on his palm. He has skin. His palm came off in the press, and he had an avulsion there. He had the 3 fingers. The kidney issue that he had was on the left side, and I think there was something. Oh, what was the other thing? There was something else on the left side of his body. Whatever. Well, this all now is on his right side. Every time you twist the leg with pubic inferior ramus, it hurts like hell. I know, vintage memories. Vintage memories, I would love to show you this picture, but I'm going to ask everybody else to close your eyes. Don't look. June, don't look again.
I'm not.
Because this is what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
This is what we're dealing with right now. So he's got the four stitches in his head. He's got bruising all on his neck, all in his shoulder. They actually had to take him now this afternoon for a shoulder CT because they were hoping that they could see from either the now we don't know what kind of pain he's going to be in with this.
Right.
Now we just don't even know what kind of pain he's going to be in with this. Now he's on oxygen again. That's the other thing. They had to put him back on an IV today because he can't drink or eat.
Why do you think he's not talking? Is it from the pain?
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with the meds on board. Yesterday, like I said, even before the fall, he was very delusional. When I spoke to him yesterday afternoon, they had sent him down for an MRI of the pelvis again. And, or the night before was, I'm so confused because they keep doing these tests. Hi, Emery. Thank you, guys. So they had sent him down for the MRI for the abdomen, and then they sent him down for another one of the pelvis, just to make sure, I guess. But now they had to send him for another CT of his upper shoulder and stuff because it didn't show up in the cervical spine one that they did. So I didn't get the results of that. I've spoken to everybody, and the one good thing, and it's not good, but I just will say this is what should have happened days ago. He's got a sitter now. Social worker for that floor unit need completed care management, meaning physicians, hematology, nutrition, OT, PT. I know. So yeah, I mean, we had a big to do with the nurse manager yesterday. I had to, because I was so furious at everything that was going on there. Because that was the other thing again yesterday. We get there, he's got no IV, or the day before. It wasn't yesterday. I apologize. It was Tuesday. No IV in him. No Heplock in him. Because he's been a hard stick. So it's shut off. Oh, yeah, we're waiting for Sano to come because now they have to find a line. They have to find a vein to put the Heplock in. Hi, Flippin. No, not yet. Not yet. We're waiting till some of the meds kind of clear themselves. And we're going to do this other scan. But it's just been a shit show. Plain English, it's been a shit show. And I'm sorry that I have been like MIA. Jenny reached out to Donna to get my number. Guys, always remember, all my information is in all of my videos in the description below. Everything. You guys know, I share everything with you guys. You guys have my phone number. You have my emails. It's all there. Thank you, Jenny, for your concern. I appreciate everybody who's reached out. Thank you. And you guys have kept me a little sane. This keeps me a little sane right now, to be honest with you, talking about it.
Is you're trying to work too upon all taking care
Well,
of
that's
him.
the whole thing. It's been 95 and sunny here. I only have a certain window to sell
Right.
ice cream. And tomorrow I've got a gig. Tuesday night I had a gig. Saturday I have a gig. Was the worst week. And I had known that from the beginning, but we just assumed he was going to be in the rehab getting physical and occupational therapy. So we figured, great. I won't have to worry about him at home, but he'll be healthy enough to be getting all his therapy and he'll be going back and forth to the gym and the whole thing.
Was he even in the rehab overnight?
He got there at 8:00 at night, and this all
Okay, so
started
the
at
next
7
morning he
o'clock.
was gone.
This
Right.
all started at 7:00 in the morning. We got there at 8 something, and by noon he was on his way back to the second hospital.
Less than 24 hours.
Get a calendar, write down what happened each day, tests, meds, etc. Who you met, who talked with. Right. I mean, because I had a fight. I had such a fight. This was the other thing that pissed me off the other day. So when my father called and told me there was an orthopedic surgeon in to see him at 7:00 on a Sunday night, first of all, I thought he was hallucinating because it was 7:00 on a Sunday night. Now I have to remember, A, it's a teaching hospital, and B, it probably wasn't like this big orthopedic surgeon. It was probably a resident, a PA, and no disrespect to those people. So I call the nurse. I call the front, the fifth floor. I call the nurse's station. And of course, at 7:00 at night, what's happening in a hospital. I know Vintage Memories knows what's happening at 7:00 in a hospital. If any of you are familiar with the medical field, the shift change happens at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. So of course, the nurse knows nothing. The nurse didn't see a doctor. The nurse didn't see anything. There's no notes in his chart. And I'm freaking out because my father's freaking out that they want to do surgery in the morning. First of all, this man had pneumonia. Oh, that was the other thing. He had pneumonia. He had hemoglobin less than 7, and they're talking about doing surgery? No, I don't think so. Whatever. The next day, I happened to be at the foot doctor with Rob because, our life does have to continue somewhat. And the orthopedic calls me. Well, I know I've already spoken to your father, but I just want to let you know what the plan is. I know that you're going to probably say the same thing. I said, well, he's not getting surgery if that's why you're calling me. So the guy got really, like Robbie said, it was almost like I was taking money out of this guy's pocket. Like he got belligerent with me and literally hung up on me by the end of the phone call. I said, listen, he's not even in the hospital for the break, number one. He's in the hospital because of the complications of the break with the medications that he took, okay? For example, the bleeding ulcers and the stomach that he had a 5 hemoglobin and had to get 3 units of blood and then another unit. And now you're talking that he's going to get surgery. When we went to see Dr. I said his name. I can't think of his name now off the top of my head. When we went to see Dr. McDermott, that's his name, the orthopedic surgeon, he told us this was not an operable break and that it was dependent on him putting pressure on it over the next 6 weeks and walking on the walker and getting a cane and getting, helping himself just heal on its own. Well, fine, then you just go back and see Dr. McDermott. I mean, literally, this was like, I was like, believe me, I told the hospital this. So you know what this bastard did? He removed all the MRIs off the orders of my father's chart. He completely took them off the chart because when I went to the hospital, the nurse said to me, "Oh, I think he's scheduled for an MRI this morning." And she comes back and she says, "Oh, I don't see the order there anymore." There's no order there because now he doesn't want the MRI because they're not doing the surgery. Or not that they're not doing it, but we're not considering surgery. No, my father's 85. He just had a major fall. He just had pneumonia. He just had 3 to 4 units of blood. His hemoglobin's not even back up in normal range. No, we're not talking about anything. If you want to get him well and get his hemoglobin up back into therapeutic range, and then talk to me about what really is going to happen and how we're going to go about even thinking. Not that my father and I even want to contemplate surgery. I don't want them cutting open an 85-year-old man just because it's a teaching hospital. That's the problem with a teaching hospital. And no disrespect, Stony Brook saved my husband's life in 2000. Believe me, they saved his life. And I do credit a lot of the teaching hospital for that, because they went above and beyond. Believe me. Pubic inferior heals on its own about 6 weeks. Maybe they'll demand to speak to risk manager, the patient advocate, and the chief of medical staff. Yeah, Robin, I gotta really sit down and do a whole log and a whole,
You have the video. You have the video. You just put it in chronological order.
Well, that's why I really probably should have done a lot more than before today or yesterday, when I really blew up on the nurse manager, because that was the other thing in the other hospital. I had asked to speak to the social worker, and I saw a comment in here. Somebody talked about a social worker, and I don't know if there's no such thing as a social worker anymore, or now they're called nurse managers. But they said to me, we're going to let you, the nurse manager is who's the one who's going to arrange, don't blame teaching. This is the problem with ortho. Most hospitals don't let ortho doctors admit patients to the hospital. They have to admit to medicine so that the patient gets complete care. Let me tell you something, and I'll tell you a really funny story. Okay, it's not funny. Believe me, it was not funny at the time. So when Rob had his episode back in 2000, and he went to the first hospital, the local mom and pop hospital, not a trauma hospital, nothing. They freaking brought in an ortho. Oh my God. The guy's looking at, he's got a fib fracture. I'm like, fucking cut off the leg. Excuse my French. The man was just resuscitated 19 times in the field out of protocol. He's on a vent, and he has every rib in his body broken, an aortic balloon pump, and all this stuff going on with him. Screw the leg. The ortho wanted to rush him into surgery. No, it's not happening. Oh my God. No operating. I know. So again, they airlifted him to Stony Brook, and thank God Stony Brook saved his life. And I don't, believe me, I've lived through teaching hospitals with both Rob and my son, Christopher, with the epilepsy and everything. And they've both gotten great care. So I'm not blaming the teaching hospital, but I think sometimes I feel like even the guy who stitched his eye now today, he was a resident. So he was probably learning. Who better to learn on but an 85-year-old man who's not really going to care about what his eye is going to, his brow is going to look like when this is all said and done, right? I'm sure it wasn't plastic surgery. It's 4 big stitches, and, they got to be removed. It's not like they dissolve or anything. So I'm sure he was learning how to stitch, and which is okay, which honestly is okay. I mean, it's not you or I where we're going to care about, how we look. My father's not even going to care. I recorded all my contact. And that was the other thing, because that was the first thing the nurse manager asked me Tuesday was, who was this orthopedic guy who called you? I didn't know his name. And I think I don't even know if he told me his name, because I'm usually pretty good with names. But again, I was in the foot doctor with Rob. I was kind of distracted. I wasn't expecting orthopedic to call me, and I was kind of caught off guard with the phone call. It was kind of like the gastro guy who called me today from the other hospital, because they did a biopsy in the other hospital, and now he has Vintage Memories help me with this pylorus, pile something.
Pylori,
Yeah.
bacteria, something like. Yeah, that's what causes ulcers.
So that's what he had on the biopsy. Something whatever.
Pylori.
Yeah, I forgot the word, the name.
It's on the tip of my tongue. I told you about it before.
Yeah. Yeah, because even my aunt, who was the RN, asked the doctor the other day, do you think he has it? And they were going to also, and today was the day we were supposed to get, actually it was yesterday, I think we really were supposed to get the results of the biopsy that they had done in the other hospital, which the doctor called me to get him in. And I'm like, we're not bringing him in. He's already in another hospital. So I told him the whole story. Look through the staff ortho doctors. You'll recognize the name. Yeah, probably. But, you know, this has been the horror. So, guys.
Helicobacter pylori. Helicobacter pylori, right?
Something like that.
He's been through it, and so have you.
Yeah.
It's been a week for you guys.
So just so you know, guys, I'm not like being flaky. Saturday morning, there was no way. We went up to the rehab. That was the first order Saturday morning. Like I wasn't coming live. Sorry, guys. Oh, I'm sure it's in there because the nurse manager immediately, that's what she said. She was going to check the chart to see who the doctor was. Call the ortho chief of staff and tell him what happened. Yeah, I know, KK. I know. But thank you guys for being here with me tonight. And again, I'm sorry to flake on the listing party. I mean, you guys are welcome to list. I'm not going to list. But I'll keep the stream on and talk if you guys want to list. I'm not going to list. I have too much. I really, to all of your comments in the chat, I should be sitting here writing a diary. That's what I should be doing. Of course, once my father is up and alert, I'm going to kill him. Because I just can't even tell you. I am just, thank you for, oh, you're so welcome. Thank you. No, that's not necessary, KK. Not now. I mean, not now, no, but thank you. Gracious tea, deep breaths, girl. Thank you, Shani. I think the biggest thing the biggest difficulty I have with my father, and this is something that's always been, he's too, it's a word I'm looking for. Oh, I got to look for the right word. He always thinks that there is going to be a virus on his computer. He's going to get scammed. So he does these things to his electronic stuff. If you guys have paid any attention to what's going on in the new world of not electronics, but I'll say in the new world of even computers and stuff like that. Now they have this, not only do they send you a code right on your phone, but like they have this second, I forget what the word is, like this second level of encryption and all this stuff now. Well, my father's all about that. My father just has everything under lock and key, literally. Passwords, PIN numbers, all of this stuff. When he was selling the house on Long Island, he had a closet in the den that we couldn't open. I'm like, Dad, let's open the closet. We're having an open house. Nobody's going in that closet. I said, what if the new people want to see the closet? It's just a closet. Well, maybe they want to see if there's shelves, how big it is. It's just a closet. They don't need to be in there. So not only did he have like his good camera and his his coin collection, a couple of other things that he has, but that's where all his passwords are.
Oh.
Under lock and key. Dad was behind on the health spectrum when he moved down. Hand needing therapy, then needed dental care. Then he would not take his pain medication to get relief from reflex. Yeah, I know, vintage memories. I know. And you know what? I told my aunt this story today, and I don't know if I told you guys this story, but the original fall, if I didn't tell you, I don't remember if I told you or not, started with pest control. Okay. So when you live in the South, you have bugs, right? We have little creepy crawly things, right? And in Little River was my first expense of ever having an exterminator come quarterly and spray. Because, you know, in Little River, we had these things, Junebug calls them Buicks.
Yes.
Junebug calls them Buicks, but they're bugs, right? Well, I haven't seen a palmetto bug, knock on wood, here in Summerville, but I've seen some bugs around. So I said, listen, we haven't had an exterminator since we bought the house. We better get a service, right? So we went through all the paperwork of the lady, and she had Terminex, and we noticed that Terminex is predominant around in the area here. So let's call Terminex. Let's get them in, right? So I call them. The first thing they tell me is, oh, we have to talk about termites. Okay. Well, I know back on Long Island, we had a big termite problem because it's sandy and it's wet. You know, we live by the ocean. Well, supposedly here it's the same thing. Paranoia. They are out to get all of my money and all of my stuff. There it is, vintage memories. There it is. Two-factor authentication. That's what I was talking about, Shani. Thank you. Thank you, guys. So they proceed to tell Rob and I, we're on speaker, we're listening to this girl about how it's really important that we have this termite, like this thing, whatever it's called. Long story short, she didn't tell me that it didn't exist in this house. She just told me we had to keep up with it because it was really important. So when the guy comes the next, oh, first, no, that's not, oh yeah, when the guy, I think the guy came the next day. I don't remember which came first, the chicken or the leg or the egg. So when the guy came the next day, he proceeded to tell me we didn't have the termite traps on premise. He remembers. He treated this house when it was built, but the lady who bought it didn't want the lion bunch of SOBs. Maybe vintage memories. I don't know. But I know termites. And Rob had a problem with termites out east on Long Island. So we know that termites can be an issue. Okay. So they quoted me a price for this system. And I said, let Rob and I think about it. We're going to talk about it. So I said to my father, now here it is breakfast, right? My father's sitting at the table. This is before anything happens. And he's there with his train schematic, and he's doing his ruler and his measuring tape. You know, my true father building Venn diagrams for the train room. And I asked him, I said, Dad, didn't you have a system put? Oh, yeah, we had termites in the house. I had to have the Terminex system put in. Do you remember what you paid? Oh, gee, not off the top of my head. But guess what? It's my father. So guess what my father has? Still all the paperwork from Terminex. But he didn't budge. He didn't budge at all, right? There was no budging from, because he was there doing the train schematic. So he was kind of like, yeah, I think I have it somewhere. I have to look for it. All right, Dad, no problem. I was just curious, right? So now it gets to be close to lunchtime. He's still sitting there an hour or two later. And we're getting ready to go out in the ice cream truck. And I said, Dad, we're going to go. Oh, wait. Now he's got to get up. Let me go get that termite thing. Now he's got to go find what he paid. Dad, I don't need it right now. Don't worry about it. Just let me know. I just want to know if they're quoting me, you know, if this is an outrageous price or whatever. Robbie and I go out to the garage. We get in the van. Here he comes. running, waving the papers. I'm like, Dad, I don't leave it inside on the table. I'm going out. Like, I'm leaving. This was like a 3-hour ago conversation, but now it was important he'd bring it to me. And that's when he turned and caught his foot on the lip of the garage floor and went down. That was how the original fall happened. Yeah. So I'm sure somewhere in there it's my fault. I'm sure. Anyway, the guy that sprays my house told me that a good, adequate spraying lasts 5 to 7 years. So call me every 5 years or spray yourself. Oh, for termites? Interesting. Okay. Well, to be honest with you, this lasts a lifetime, and I don't think we ever have to do anything, right, Rob? They check the traps once a year.
Yeah, I have traps all over my house outside.
It's a one-time fee.
Yeah, it was a one-time fee. Oh, it's my aunt just asking me about my phone.
I can't believe how bad he fell this last time.
I know.
Did they know why he's even fallen the first time?
I just think he was clumsy.
And then he got hurt from the first fall. Then it was just he's unstable for the rest of them.
Right. I'm just answering my aunt.
Yeah,
Sorry,
go ahead. So woodpeckers if you have woodpeckers, you have termites? Oh, thank you. I was so scared.
Hi, Connie, honey.
I've before. I've been playing around trying to get used to it. Right, Jenny?
Hi, Sue.
Oh, that's so sweet, Vintage. Man, ought to be more nurses like her.
Right. Well, Esther was very nice this morning when she called me at 5:45, but of course she only had an hour and 15 minutes left of her shift, so she was probably only having to turn it over to somebody else. But I actually hope she is the one on tonight. I always like when the same nurse, because I feel like they get to know the patient as well, so they know if there's any kind of changes with the patient. Because even the doctor, the hospitalist, as they call him, that came in today, he's the guy who's kind of seen my father over the last couple of days. So he kind of like knew, like, oh my God, I can't even believe this. You know, like he knew, like he was talking to my father, even though my father's hard of hearing and he knows that, like he knew how to speak to my father. And he kind of was just shaking his head, like, and he was out of everybody, I think, has been very compassionate compared to a lot of them, more so. You know, I don't know. Just overall for the last couple, he seems to listen and really kind of hear my thing. The only thing that he didn't hear, and maybe it wasn't him, I told, it might have been the nurse manager, Nicole, on Tuesday, and the nurse the other day, who I said, no more oxy. Jenny, send June your email so she can do it. Otherwise, I'm going to have to go and look for your email, Jenny. I'm sorry. I just haven't had the time. I just figured you would take care of that. But Jenny, if you want to even drop an email here, none of us are going to steal it. I mean, I have it somewhere, but I just haven't had time. Thanks, KJ. There it is, June. Thank you, Jenny.
I'll get that.
So yeah, I mean, that's the story of my life right now. I'm mentally exhausted too. And you know what, to be honest with you, I'm tired, and I can't even explain like I shouldn't be this tired. It's not like I did a ton of work, but I think it's just mentally draining. And then it's just crazy. Working on eBay spreadsheet today, catching up on the last 3 months. But now I need to get in the shower. All right, KJ. Connie, how was your auction? Did you guys? I didn't even come in last night. I was flopping in bed. I should have probably popped in. Guys, don't forget, Connie goes live on Wednesday nights. Robbie, need a double apple martini for the lady on the table by the window. Robin says, Robbie, we needed a double apple martini for the lady at the table by the window.
I cook, I don't make drink.
He wouldn't have. Yeah, it is very trying mentally and physically. And then to boot, you know, we've been trying to get out because of the weather has just been so gorgeous, and trying to make money. I mean, that's the whole thing too. I gotta make a living. And I have all these things that have been lined up. Like tomorrow we have this this community that hired us for the day, and I have to go. So I said to Robbie, maybe we have to bring the truck to the hospital so that we can go right from there. Because even like today, we went to the hospital early. I mean, we were up at 6 and we were out the door 7:30, 8 o'clock. But by the time we got here and got in the truck and got ready to ice cream, it was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm just like, oh, you know, we're not even starting where I like to start at 12. And then we needed ice and we needed gas, and all these things take time. And it's like, I have to go to the bank. And, oh, I mean, the only good thing with the bank is I can hit the bank in the morning on my way to the hospital because I just need the ATM. I can make a deposit through the ATM, and I just want to put my ice cream money away because I got to pay bills. It's the first of the month. I know, sell it in the parking lot. Probably afternoon since nurse from VA's. I don't know. All right. Aunt Eileen says she'll try to go up in the afternoon. All right. That works for us because we have the gig in the afternoon. All right. That's good. And thank God. I mean, she knows some questions to ask. And it's always nice to have like a medical professional that she was to kind of ask the right questions. Because sometimes you think about things and you forget, or you don't know the right questions to ask. As someone who has had a lot of personal experience with docs in the hospital, it's important to have someone who advocates for you when you can. Your dad is very lucky to have to you. Oh, thank you, Nady, Mom. Thank you. Oh, you had your grandkids in, Connie? Oh, that was nice. Yeah, does everybody... that's the other thing with Saturday. We're here in the community because it's Grandparents' Day. Did everybody know it's Grandparents' Day on Saturday? Because when I Googled it, it looked like it wasn't until September. But my community thinks it's Saturday, so they have this whole weekend planned, and they included us, the ice cream truck, because all the kids are going to be here for Grandparents' Weekend. I already heard a couple of the residents say that their great-grandchildren were staying over.
That's good.
I have a giant butterfly bush outside the living room window. It was storming so bad yesterday. I heard massive thunder and a crackle and saw a lightning bolt fly past the window sideways. Oh my goodness. Wow, is it storming, huh? Junebug, you falling asleep, honey.
No, I was reading the chat
Oh,
and I was squinching my eyes.
oh, okay. I said, like, is Joan falling asleep on me?
No,
I should be the one falling asleep.
no, I was trying to read that.
So it was a giant flash on the other side. We go out later and see the something.
Boodalia.
They may be having Grandparents' Day via the HOA, so kids are encouraged to be present. Shut the group. Yeah, and you know what? Kids are allowed to be at the pool 1 to 7 Saturday and Sunday, which is very strange for my community because it's usually just 3 to 5. So they really opened it up. Hi, Adam. Hi, sweetheart. Thank you, Adam. Thank you. Yeah, hopefully things will just everybody say a prayer. Everybody just say a prayer.
Boy, you have a lot on your plate, girl.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't know. I'm glad he's in the hospital because I don't have to worry about him when I go out because it'll be a problem once he comes home. But he's not going to come home because he's going to go to the rehab and get better there too. So, the rehab will keep him a couple of weeks and at least I know that he'll be in somebody's care. Now I'm just always paranoid. Like right now they have the sitter in the hospital that's staying.
You'll get one for home though.
I'm going to have to.
You can, T. At least they'll be there for you to work. They will.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got good insurance. Use it. I mean, he's paid for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he said to Robbie and I one night when he was sitting in the chair, if I got to get a nurse in here, he doesn't even mind paying a couple of bucks out of pocket if he has to.
They'll even help pay him everything.
Yeah. And you know what, to be honest with you, it is sometimes a little too close for comfort. Like he was joking here one day. He's like, oh, I used to soak my feet all the time in Epsom salt. And I don't really feel like getting a bucket of Epsom salt every day and putting my father's feet in it. It's just, like today I had to take his top dentures out. Like I had to stick
doing a lot of things you don't,
and they had, and it's not even the catheter anymore. It's like something on him, like a cup thing that they had, to pull his urine. And he kept pulling the blankets off and I'm like, oh, it's my father. Like it's a little too close for comfort, some of it, so and I know he's even a little embarrassed because, sometimes I think it was the one day he was in the hospital and they, before he left, I guess it was last Friday before he went to the rehab, the physical therapist came in and said, we're going to change you. And like, he was like looking around, like he wanted me to leave, like, well, because he pulled his pants down, and I get it. Fancy term, condom catheter. Okay, vintage memory. Was it a Texas? I have no idea. I'm a prude. I don't know any of that stuff. They may call them MSW, medical social workers. One at a rehab hospital care team should meet once a week to discuss the plan of care, including discharge, home care. Yes. I mean, somebody, I say somebody, okay, Robin, I'm sorry. Just to have it. When people come in here, especially in the beginning when they used to come in, and vintage memories, Robin has been here forever. Like, we never knew if anybody didn't want us to disclose their real name. And we knew their real name because they were registering. So we'd see their real name on the registration. And there was a couple of people who got mad that I called them their real names. So I always was very careful about that. But thank you, Robin. So, Robin knows probably being a nurse and having family around. Some people don't care, like they'll strip down and they don't care who's there. They don't care who's, oh, maybe she's not talking to me. She might be talking. Once I got out of management, all good. Okay. Some people don't have like that real pride, but my father does. My father's an 85-year-old man who, has had one partner in his life, so I get it. And,
some are more modest than others.
Yes. And some people aren't, which is fine, whatever. But it's, yeah. So whatever, it's fine. It's fine. And so if we have to do that, we'll do that. But then my aunt brought up a good point too, because, one of us can be a caregiver at home too. And instead of me, it could be Rob, So he's the cooker anyway. He's the one who cooks and cleans. He's the one who was waiting on my father anyway, with the meals anyway. And he does the wash. So there are things, it's just the doctors and everything else has been both of us. We usually take him together, even when he was going to the rehab or the dentist or whatever. It's, and the dentist is off the table right now. I saw Robin.
I would think so.
I saw Robin mention, in there that first it was the hands and then it was the teeth. There's really nothing wrong with his teeth. He just doesn't have too many of them. That was the issue with his teeth. And he wanted to have his bottom because he lost a tooth back in New York. And then he has a partial on the bottom. So he figured, why not just get them all done on the bottom? But I don't even know. My 85-year-old father still calls me his little girl. I'm still daddy's little girl, and I'm 58 years old. So I get it. Such the baby boomer. Exactly. Yeah. You're the baby boomer. Or he's not a baby boomer. We went through this once, what everybody's called. I don't remember what 85-year-old people are called, but
he sure wasn't with you long before all this stuff started happening, huh?
Say it again.
I said he hadn't been with you too long before all this started happening.
Well, that's why
it's like it was meant for you to take care of him. It was time.
Well, you know what? The only problem is this is shades of my aunt all over again. This is kind of what happened. Like when my father decided to move my aunt from Vegas to New York, and all this stuff happened with my aunt within 6 months. She was gone. And that can't happen. I just can't. So
No. He'll get better. But I'm just saying, with him needing someone to help take care of him through all of this, it was like it was meant to be.
Right.
When it was.
Right.
It's going to get better.
That is part of the silent generation. That's right. Vintage memories, the silent generation. And he can be silent at times. But that's what I was saying before about him being very protective over like a lot of the stuff. So I even said to my brother on the phone today, I said, this is ridiculous. I said, if God forbid, I have to hire somebody, I don't even have access. Like, I don't know his PIN number on his bank card. I'm not on his checking account. Like, I can't even write a check to somebody if I have to pay somebody. I'm like, that's got to change. That 100% has to change. He has to like let go a little bit. I'm not, Listen, I'm not stealing his money. Trust me. And neither is my brother. And, and I mean, I'm the healthcare proxy, but that means nothing, really. I mean, there's not really a lot and the other problem is, and I called our accountant yesterday because he's like my father's guy now too, and he's the one who does our health insurance. Like he has a whole team of people, and Rob and I have to do. What was that? I'm sorry.
My phone.
Oh, I thought it was you. Rob and I have to do a new will, and now my father's going to have to do a new will. First of all, I'm listed as Teresa O'Brien. I'm not Teresa O'Brien anymore. I'm Teresa Bookstaver. It's not enforceable, I don't think here. I don't know. We have to get it all changed to the state of South Carolina. So, like, there's a whole other. Yeah, I know, KK. I know, and that's I have to get that done. And now. I called him on Tuesday thinking we could get this done now. And now he's not even like in any condition to sign any paperwork. And I don't want that to happen because if that happens, I'm really in trouble. So, we got to get it done sooner than later. It just has to be, now we sent his laptop out. That was the other problem. He had a problem with this laptop. Dell came to fix it while he was here because he wasn't relinquishing rights on the laptop. No, they can come. I have the service. They'll come and fix it, right? Because surprise, surprise, Dad couldn't fix it. Who's the big genius? But whatever. There's been a problem with this computer since day one. And I think it's the software he installed because we finally spoke to them the other day in the hospital and they can't change the hard drive without damaging the software, and they won't guarantee the software, and they want everything uninstalled off the laptop before they change the hard drive. So any pictures he has on there, any software, any encryption, whatever it is. So come to find out a little bit of what this guy was talking about, and that he said something to my father, something about and that encryption layer that you have in there. My father's got like some kind of nonsense on that computer. Let's just call it nonsense. So now my father says to me, "Oh, that's all right. When you come back, when the laptop comes back, I'll walk you through. You can do it and we'll send it back to Dell." First of all, I'm not the computer whiz. But second of all, gee, Dad, I wonder how that's going to happen when I can't even get in your laptop.
Right.
So guess what? You're going to have to give me the password because I don't know how to get in it. So, yeah. I don't know why. It's such a secret. But guess what? He's been using my laptop. I had no problem giving him my information. I don't care. I have nothing to hide. I don't think my father does either. It's like I use LastPass app, stores all of my passwords. My brother is the only one who has access. I then used freewill.com to do all of my legal documents. Yeah, well, we can't go there, Vintage Memories. This is not a free will. Trust me. There's too much at stake. Yeah, we're gonna take care. We're gonna just again a little bit at a time, but we'll figure it out. He's got to get better. That's all. So guys, I think I'm gonna say goodnight. And I mean, if you guys want to hang, I don't care. I can leave my screen on. I can come and shut it off later. But what I did want to say is I don't think I'll be here Saturday morning for coffee. Don't count on me. Let me just put it to you that way. Just don't count on me Saturday for coffee. Good night, Connie, honey. I just don't know where we'll be at yet. But if I can come on at any point, I will come on and at least give you guys an update. We didn't even go to church Sunday. We went right to the hospital on Sunday because of just everything that was going on. So I could have went live a little bit Sunday, but I didn't. and we'll see what happens this weekend. I don't know what's going to happen with Dad, and he's not going anywhere. We already made sure with the doctor and stuff that at least until next week he's going to be still there, and then we'll see how he progresses over the next couple of days. But tomorrow we do have this gig in the afternoon, and then Saturday it's kind of early evening, late afternoon, early evening. So maybe we'll see what happens during the week. I don't know. But thank you guys. Thank you everyone for coming in. I do appreciate it. Thank you, Gayleen. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you guys. I do appreciate all of you. And maybe at some point we'll get group chats are cathartic, but also exhausting. Thank you, Vintage Memories. I'm exhausted. And it's just a combination of everything. I got so many things floating around in my head too, things that I gotta write down while I'm thinking about them. And maybe we'll bring June up to speed. Maybe she could have a listing party this week. Who knows? I know Shani would join her. Somebody would join her if you guys. You don't need me always. But anyway, I don't know what Rob's over there playing some kind of game on his phone. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Robin. I do appreciate all of you. And you guys have a great night. And I'll talk to you guys in the next couple of days.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Good night. Yeah, Shani and June, you can do it. See their face.